So I get a phone call from Jerry asking if I'd come back to the next show. So I did, and I was going to work Maze. And this was I think this was the show where y'all started recording the shows to put DVDs together.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I think is when I was starting to wear the kilt and do the whole like Boston Brawler bullshit gimmick that I had, and yeah, it was just the first match was against Maze, and the thing was that Jerry just wanted to put Maze over, which I'm looking at Maze, who is here, and me, who is height wise here,
Mm-hmm.
and we're just thinking, how the hell am I we're gonna do this? Well, Jerry, being Mr. Old School, says just do it with a small package. Okay. So we did the whole match, and we just worked a small package into it, and it was just another one of those things where we're just doing business.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a problem just based on height? I mean, Maze is a guy who'd been in the business at that point, I think.
I kind of had a preconceived notion of Maze based on a message board interaction with him.
Let's hear it.
I was back to my little outlaw gimmick that I thought I was going to do.
Right.
I was just posting on the message boards as far as wanting to find out where I can go to be trained.
In character, out of character?
No, in character, of course.
Okay.
Because I was an idiot.
Uh-huh.
So I would put on there that I'm looking, where do I go for shows, and where I go to, get booked. Well, this guy Mays posts up and says, why don't you just do like what the rest of us do and just go to the shows, kid? I took offense to that. I'm like, I'm sure he didn't mean it like that, and to this day he'll deny he even said it. But he just came off as such a dick. And so when I show up at the show, I'm just I'm literally and figuratively looking down at this guy, because the fact that he was breathing the same air as me in the same room, I just like, well, this dick, I just want nothing to do with him. But I got to put him over. But it's business, and who am I to say that who I can and cannot go over on?
Mm-hmm.
So went out there and did business, and that was Jerry said, I want you to hit a couple big moves, and I'm thinking, well, this is a good time for me to try to put over some moves I've wanted to do as finishers. Which at that time, my finishing move was a scissor kick. Just because I did it once in class, Percy popped on it because it was a big guy doing a scissor kick, so I just ran with it from there. Well, I hit the scissor kick, it got a reaction, and then I hit a lariat in the middle of my match, and that's whenever I went back, and I think you were one who met me at the counter and says,
yeah,
get rid of that scissor kick, your finishing move is a lariat. That was like probably the most brutal lariat I've ever seen anywhere in this area. So I'm thinking, really? Because in my mind, finishing moves had to be flashy. They had to be, something over the top, And so I figured, well, I guess my finishing move is the clothesline from hell. It's just going to be the lariat. And from that point, the rest is history as far as the lariat is concerned. I've been using it ever since. Different variations, different transitions into it. But
you also, at that point, dropped jumping.
Yeah, because of the fact that we were trying to come up with something. Because I think you even said it was a cute little run. Whenever it
a due paying it.
Yeah, paying your dues. But as far as if we're going to get you over as being a heel, a guy, the guy that looks like he can hold his own in a fight. If I'm going to put you over as, Jumpin' Joe, you might as well just be out there kissing babies and shaking hands the whole time. Just that doesn't really, it doesn't click for what what you saw as far as how the gimmick could go. So we were just kicking ideas back and forth, and it was just, I think you just said, how about just brutal, man? Because shit, everything you do in that ring is just flat brutal. I mean, you go in there and you just beat people up, you hurt people. That's your deal. That's your shtick. So that's how I transitioned from Jumpin' Joe Gibson to Brutal Joe Gibson, and like I said, I'm still using it to this day.
And the reason that was, I think, Jerry had brought it up as far as you need to transition, use more devastating impact moves instead of flashy, was you were in line for a sizable push for somebody who was so green in the business. I mean, you had quite an extensive training, but this was your second show, only third or fourth match. You got a very large push. Why don't you tell us how that push went?
Basically, I was asked how many matches I had worked by several of the people who saw me, and they're working with Maze and Mikey Webb. And at that time, I could still count how many matches I worked on one hand. and it blew a lot of their minds. And again, being young in the business, I never understood why I guess, you know, I've only had 4 or 5 matches, and everybody thought that I had been working 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing the garbage that they promote now, I would totally get why someone would say, "Geez, how long have you been working? Where have you been?" You know?
Yeah.
Because not to toot my horn, but I like to think that at least I bring something to the table when it comes to doing stuff in the ring, more so than these, you know, garbage bag pant wearing jabrones that are out there, you know, just doing their 47,000 high spots, and you know, they wear their bondage pants and Hot Topic shirts and put themselves over as, you know, credible wrestlers. No, they don't work that way. So yeah, I mean, it was like you were saying about the sizable push. It was just because Jerry said there's just too much talent in this guy to just hold him back and just have him keep putting people over. So I guess we're the bittersweet, you know, view as far as like my first push with a lot of the guys, and I still hear shit about it to this day, was the fact that I had only worked 5 or 6 matches and I was already getting pushed mid-card and above.
But that was part of the story for the push.
Yeah.
The fact that your guy came out of nowhere and grabbed you by the throat and said, "This is what I'm going to do." Go into detail as far as when you heard about the push, the breaking of Jerry's neck with the lariat, things of that nature, to put that move over to an established guy.
Yeah, Jerry had kind of boogered up his neck in a match with Cyrus, I believe. And we at the time, y'all were really wanting to put over the lariat as being like, once you hit it, it's done, you know. Well, I worked, I think it was a run-in on Jerry, because this was setting up a big feud with Jerry, leading up to a feud with Cyrus, you know, who was the champion at the time. And basically, I just did a run-in, and I hit Jerry. I guess I hit him a little too hard, because the injury that he had with his neck before ended up becoming more serious, because he went to the ER that night.
Well, that was the night we did the stretcher job.
Was it?
Yeah, because we were at the National Guard Armory.
And yeah. Afterwards, yeah, because he was literally laid out, and but y'all were going to do the. I think
we were doing a stretcher job anyway.
Anyway, but it made it more legit whenever he actually go to the ER that night, because Joe Gibson actually broke Jerry Reiner's neck with a lariat. I felt so bad after that too.
Yeah, because he messed up his neck. He said, "Well, let's do this neck injury. We'll do the stretcher job," and then you hit him, and it actually hurt his neck.
Yeah, seriously broke his neck, and I couldn't even begin to tell you like how bad I felt afterwards, because here I am. I seriously thought, I'm sitting over at the house, and Carlos is making fun of me for feeling bad too. Like, man, shit happens. You know, Jerry, his neck was hurt anyway. You know, whatever. But it just, you know, me being you know, sort of a sensitive guy when it comes to, you know, yeah, I'm mean in the ring, but if I legitimately hurt you, I feel bad about it. You know. Mm-hmm. Except, you know, if your name is Brian Cage, fuck you. You know? But no, I seriously, I was depressed about hurting Jerry, but Jerry was just such a pro about the whole thing. He took that and he just ran with it. Mm-hmm. He's sitting at home with his camera with his neck in I think he did a promo at the hospital.
He may. I know there were some pictures taken.
He took some pictures at the hospital, posted them on the message boards, talking about Joe Gibson's lariat broke my neck, and I'm like,
and that's huge.
That was, I mean, I'm sitting there like, in my mind, I'm reading it as a fan, thinking, oh my God, like, this guy's pissed at me because I seriously broke his neck. Mm-hmm. But then Carlos is making fun of me. He's like, man, he's working you, man. Come on. You don't see it work when it's happening? Jerry's putting your move over. Quit being such a bitch. So that's where that kind of transitioned, you know, as far as like, I started seeing how much faith a lot of the guys that I actually used to watch had in me, and it really meant a lot. It seriously, like, I was flattered more than